It's time for another Mythic Games update, and a little update from me because, as you can see, I have a different background. What the heck is going on with that company? What the heck's going on with me? Let's discuss. Alright, before we get into all that stuff though, Into the AM. They make awesome shirts just like this that fit great, they feel great, they look great, they are awesome, and they're having a great sale on their best sellers. And they have a whole lot of new stuff. So, as you can see, 70% off their greatest hit sales, and they have fantastic shirts on sale right now. And it's seriously, this is a great time to get them. All the good ones are there. It's awesome. So if we go to the new arrivals, I want to show you some of the new stuff. You know, kind of like this one. Actually, this one's even old compared to what they're always releasing new stuff, which is great. But as you can see, they have some fantastic things here. I really love this ship one. There's not a lot of shirts with ships on them, but this Cosmic Dissolve tee, as you see, all these bestsellers on sale. But they have some fantastic vintage tees. Those feel great. Some really, really cool designs. I really like the highway hues there as well. Love the camping astronaut stuff. Is there something about the dichotomy between those two? Love it. Think it's awesome. So feel free to check them out in the link in the description below. And there's a special 10% off coupon code for you that works on top of the sale. So you'll get the sale, and then you get 10% off just whatever the total is. That's your sale. It's on everything they have, everything on sale. You'll still get 10% off of that. So use that link in the description below. Use that code. Get yourself some awesome shirts. You will love them. I guarantee it. Now, with that, let's quickly jump to the fundraiser. If you didn't know, this is still going on. Thank you so much for the support you guys have been this year and leading into the next year. It's going to be super strong. You're going to love some of the big changes I'm making on the channel to give you better content. It's going to be awesome, and I can't wait to show you what the final result is. It has to do with this, so it's going to be super duper cool for sure. And seriously, we're almost there at the 8,000 goal, 7,368. Thank you so much to all 181 of you. And if you would like to donate, take a look at what some of the rewards are. I give a whole bunch of gifts out, as you can see. So thank you to all the sponsors that are supporting that as well. Thank you for your support throughout the entire year, guys. I really do appreciate it. This is scheduled to end at the end of February, by the way. So if you're wanting to get in, this is the guaranteed time. Now, if you guys really want me to extend it, I can. We'll discuss that. I'll take a look at that. But we're looking at the end of February for you guys. So that's also linked down in the description below. Now, let's go through the death threats, and then at the very end, I'll touch on this background a little bit. So, death threats, doxing, all that stuff, we've been through it. I have a video on it. I'll link down to that in the description below as well, right under that cool Into the AM stuff. And so, feel free to check that out. With the Mythic Games thing, if you didn't know, if you haven't watched another video, feel free to. I go over it quite well. But one of the things they essentially announced is that Kaman bought 2 of their IPs, so Hell and Anastyr are not going to be delivered. If you gave Mythic Games money for those, like I did, they are not delivering anything in return for that money you gave. It is now lost. However, Kaman said that you will get a core box version of the new game they make, and the reason they're going to be making a new game or modifying it is because the game isn't ready. So when they said like Hell's ready to go and Anastyr's ready to go and they've done all this and all the development's done, that was not true. Okay, so I mean, it didn't happen, right? Kaman's like, yeah, it ain't working out. Also, of course, their business model, how they packaged and grouped different things weren't as ideal. So these are going to be streamlined and trimmed down versions of the game, at least the core box will be, right? So they're not going to have as many chapters in Hell, stuff like that, right? So, and not as many zones in Anastyr. So, yeah, I mean, great, I guess. I don't know. It is what it is. But there was some crazy stuff here. Now, Board Game Wire did a little interview with Leo, and we got a bit more information on it, but we also got to hear a lot from Leo himself, and so I want to kind of discuss that with you, and discuss some of the issues I see with this still, because there definitely are some. So, where does this leave Monster Apocalypse and Rise of the Necromancers? That's obviously a big one there, right? For these 2 games, the solution is to ask for a contribution. So they're going to want to ask for a contribution for those 2. In other words, they haven't sold it, right? Nobody's bought it. I don't know if that's IP related because they're both technically related to IP. But, I mean, so was like Anastyr, I think, a little bit, right? With like the theme of it or whatever and the name. But whatever. Anyway, either way, those need a contribution. There's no buyer, they're not selling it or whatever. So if they're going to deliver it, they need to ask for more money. That is going to be significantly higher of an ask than what they've already done. And if you saw the ask they had for 6th Siege or the additional ask they had for Darkest Dungeon, you know that's a very high ask. In other words, it's probably going to over double what you've already paid for them. That'd be my suspicion. That's just an estimation, but from what I can tell, it looks like that's probably where the buck stops. However, the issue is all the bad buzz around their company. So they've gotten some death threats. They've had their address released. So they've been doxxed. They've had threats of other physical violence beyond just that. Now, how serious all of those are, I don't know. Again, I've only seen a few examples of some of the stuff that's been going on, but it is pretty crazy. They did file some police reports. I don't know if those were followed up on either, so I don't really have line of sight to that. Either way, they're like, whoa, if we keep doing this, it's just going to get bad. Like, the moment they announce how much they want for, like, Resident Necromancers or Monster Apocalypse, people are just going to flip out. It's going to happen all over again. It's super negative. Obviously, these people are real people. They have families, their wives, their spouses, their kids. All of them are now, in this because, of what they're doing here. So that's really bad. Right? So he's not sure. And in fact, he does announce this, and I think this is important. An exaggerated minority are doing this. That is very true. Very, very true. It's easy to be concerned or feel like if you go to the comments section, you might see 100 people discussing this. Maybe even 150 people like raging and being all upset or on their Discord or whatever it is, right? And that may seem like, it seems like everybody's doing it. But when you have tens of thousands of backers, that is such a small minority of people that are going online and raging. It is important to keep that context, right? And later on, he does say that he received some good support as well. I don't know if that's necessarily founded either, but either way, exaggerated minority. That being said, and before I get on to the next thing, it only takes one crazy dude, right? I mean, like, when it comes to the internet, and I have to be aware of this too, being on the internet, sharing my opinion, right? Not everybody's happy with my opinion on this because I'm trying to be a little bit more level-headed and just talk through the facts and discuss what this means for you guys as opposed to like feeding hate and anger and all that stuff, which, you can do, I guess, but that's not exactly what I want to do with this channel, so that's not what I'm going to do. So there are people upset about that. It's certainly possible somebody could find out where I live. Maybe that's what, no, it has nothing to do with this. But my point is that the internet is a crazy, crazy place full of extreme people. And so, like, I can understand that. While it is a minority, and it's important to note that you can't just like not take it seriously, especially once people start actually looking up your address and posting it for other people that are actively angry and talking about like wanting to hurt you, right? Like that's not a good situation. I can understand that. Now, he goes on to say, undoubtedly, they are acting out of an unreasonable anger. Now, that I totally disagree with. I don't think it's an unreasonable anger. I think it's very reasonable to be angry when somebody takes all your money, does a poor job of handling it, and then says they can't give you what you gave the money for back, right? Totally understandable, especially with all of the, like, oh, it's like ready, all development's done, and then the next company gets us like, yeah, this needs development, right? Like that kind of stuff that's consistently seen with how they talk, where it's like, I don't know if that's exactly true or not, really, really hurts their case for like not having an unreasonable anger level. That being said, acting on that emotion in that way is not healthy and it's not good, and I don't condone it, right? I don't think feeling emotions is wrong. It's fine to be angry. Now, acting that anger out by saying, I want to kill you, and then putting in his address, is like, okay, now that is unreasonable action on the very reasonable anger. So I think that's important to kind of clarify as well. Okay, so then he says, that being said, he got many messages of support, but he's talking to them. He said, you'll understand if I take a little time before answering the question that what we should do about these last two campaigns. So he says here the only solution he has is contribution. But what he's saying is we might not ask, we might just close shop. We might just say, nope, I'm out. This is enough. Obviously, I've taken the ship as far as I'm willing to go, and now I'm going to move first and then disappear. And in which case, I think that's not exactly a bad idea. I really don't. I have to balance the fact that if people are willing to pay, then they are okay paying, at least enough to actually pay, right? They may not be happy about it, but they still want the game enough to pay. And I'm sure there are people willing to do that. And if anybody gets it and is willing to deal with it, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like, I'm happy for that. But I said a long time ago, and you can check my many videos on this subject, I said a long time ago that I really think it's better just to rip off the Band-Aid. In other words, this is what we all saw coming, right? And people call this out all the time. How far can they go? How many times can they ask before it turns out too much and they don't get enough? And that's also the worry, is they don't get enough contribution anyway, and so then they have to ship and, sail off into the sunset or wherever it is they're going. Is it better to maybe just say enough, right? Because every time this happens, it hurts all crowdfunding games. If you are a developer, you are hurt by this. If you have stopped backing games or lowered your backing of games because you could finger point to the Mythic Games in this situation, let me know in the comments below. And if you're a developer, scroll down and read those comments. Those are potential lost sales, potential lost customers, potential lost fans for life because of Mythic Games. Every single one of you down there that are saying that's just what it is. I don't blame you. I understand it. I think we're all way more cautious, regardless, right? And then it's like, or maybe I don't back indies now. As sucky as that is, if you're an indie of any kind, if you don't have other retail, presence and other agreements and stuff like that, I'm not doing business with you. I only do well-established companies now. It sucks, but I can understand it. Or I just back way less now. I can understand it. Or I don't at all. I can understand it. And I don't think anybody blames you either. I mean, you do what's right for you and your money and what you're comfortable with, of course. And this hurts that. And it hurts the industry. It hurts other people. And if they had just ripped the Band-Aid off, would that have been better? I don't know. I feel like eventually people would have recovered. It would have been even more people without games. But let's be honest, not everybody got Darkest Dungeon. Not everybody is getting Sixth Siege, right? Like, yes, these are like delivered, but only partially. I would consider them never delivered if not everybody that paid for it got it. So at the end of the day, you've just made people more and more upset. Whereas if you just said, hey, we tried, we failed, we suck, we're sorry, peace out, and then left, I think that actually would have gone over better. This is hindsight, right? And I remember posing this question before, and I can see why that would be a valid thing. Maybe it's better just to go. Don't worry about Monster Apocalypse and Necromancers. I didn't pay for Rise of the Necromancers. I did pay into Monster Apocalypse, so I'm out money still there. I did pay for Anastair. I did pay for Hell. I'm out of money there. Like, I'm already not getting my stuff. I don't think I'm going to pay more for Monster Apocalypse than I already did, so I don't think I'm getting that either. So for me personally, yeah, just peace out. Goodbye. Good riddance, right? But you can't just look at it on a personal level. I mean, you can for if you're backing or not, but if you're thinking about the industry, right? Which if you're watching this channel, if you're listening to this video, you care at least somewhat about this industry, then you have to ask, is this better? I don't know. So you talk about future projects and stuff like that. This is a big one. I highlighted this entire conversation. It says, do you anticipate ever launching another Kickstarter campaign with Mythic, or do you think that would prove impossible now? And he said, I don't know if it's impossible because we've seen many unexpected turnarounds in business and politics, but as I've explained to you, the repeated media storms are tiring and getting worse. We don't plan anything else for Mythic Games until we have delivered or found a solution for all of our undelivered games. Now, if the solution is selling the IP and people are getting their stuff, then I don't know if that's a solution. And if you only deliver to the people willing to give you hundreds of more dollars, I don't know if that counts as delivered. So I would say you would never meet either of those things now, and you won't in the future as well. But even if you did, I don't care about the turnaround. What they have done, whether people end up okay with them in the future or not, which obviously won't. That's not going to happen. Like, I'm calling that's not going to happen, right? But even if they did, they have deserved something. No, I don't think it's death threats and silliness like that. It's ridiculous. I don't think most people ever do that, including most criminals, like legit, like in prison already criminals. And I understand the criminal activity that could be accused of Leo, but none of that is death sentence worthy. Okay, either way. And I think a lot of that is being ejected from the industry, right? Even if you're not angry, even if you have no money stake in there, I think you can objectively say that they have been a net negative on this industry at this point and should not be allowed or wanted or desired to come back. Even if they could successfully fund a campaign with enough people that did like it, I don't think that's good for the betterment of this industry for them to continue on, because every time their name is even mentioned, just me making this video will elicit emotion in some people of just anger, loss, sorrow, frustration, all these negative things. And it doesn't put them in the mode to go buy an awesome Kickstarter game from some other company that actually deserves it. It does the opposite, and it will continue to do that pretty much forever. It's a pretty big sore spot for a lot of people. So that's I do not want to see their campaigns again. I want them to just go away. Just go away and let the remaining people recover from the damage you've done. My kind of status on there. Now, I highlighted this because this is one of the, I don't want to say a stupid question, but it's a question that doesn't need to be asked. Was any of this preventable? Yes, of course there was. Be more respectful to the backers, to your position with their money. When it comes to any kind of risk assessment, right? You want to minimize that as much as possible. And riding the line so much and making decisions so much and putting your business in such a predicament to where you have so many outstanding that you can't handle a whole lot of stuff, that is not a good thing. And you shouldn't keep doing that. Now, I understand that, like, okay, so all they got was Kickstarter. They didn't have any other sources of income. That was already a bad thing. Putting all your eggs in one basket, inherently dangerous. Something could happen to the basket. Something did, imagine that. But regardless of that, they got to the point where, like with Anasteer, that if it did not make millions of dollars, then they were screwed. So you should have never launched that. At that point, stop. Stop while you're behind a little bit versus even more. Instead of completing a campaign that you know you can't complete, and you can't complete the last other like 5. Like, obviously, you shouldn't have done that. You shouldn't have done the one before that. That kind of hopefully this one will fix the situation. Stop at the situation, right? Any kind of business, like management or organization or project organization or anything like this, right? Like, this is an obvious showstopper, and it was well before the last few campaigns that you did. So yes, this was preventable. Now, he doesn't really go into this. He talks about, hey, we should have gotten more revenue, and hey, we shouldn't have been as ambitious and had such a high cost of stuff. I mean, a lot of it's just promising more and more and more, hoping that it funds enough when you can't technically afford what you can deliver now. You need that constant cash flow. And the moment that cash flow died, so did the delivery of everything in flight. Everything in flight. Right? Which shows that budgets weren't set up properly, which shows that the business was not run properly as a core tenant, right? They just did not do good business. Yes, it was preventable. That's a silly question. Okay, so that's it, guys. So what's going to happen with the last 2? Don't know. I suspect it doesn't matter because there are 2 options, right? There are 2 options. Option 1, they go away. In which case you don't get your game. Option 2, they ask a massive contribution that most of you aren't going to pay anyway. So again, either way, you ain't getting your game. Count as a loss right now. Try and move on with your life. That's the best advice I can give, is just move on. Find what brings you joy and happiness in this very limited time you have on this earth, and fill your life with it. And it's not Mythic Games, I can promise you that. Going on their campaign and raging will not make you feel better. I promise it won't. You'll still be upset every time somebody mentions it. The same goes with trying to continue to do updates and all that. That's why I just want it gone. I just want it done. Okay? This is like a bad relationship, and we just need to call it quits. Okay? Mythic Games, I don't want to be with you anymore. Okay? All right. So, let me know your thoughts below, of course. If you agree or disagree, or maybe partially, or anything like that, of course. I put a lot of opinion in this video, and I try to be responsible when I do express opinion, but at the same time, I want to speak casual with you guys. So I apologize if anything is poorly worded. Hopefully it came out okay. I think it did. I'm pretty confident in how I feel about this. I put enough thought into it to not just knee-jerk react out of anger, which is, of course, a natural response for most anything at this magnitude. Quickly explaining this real quick. Right now, I am away from home. I have a new job, and I'm getting a house with a dedicated gaming room that is fully set up and ready. It's going to be awesome. You guys are going to love it. I promise. It's going to be super cool. I'm producing some content around it. It's going to be amazing. But we got to move up here and stuff like that. So this is just an Airbnb kind of thing going on right here. But I will be back in my old home here soon, so you'll see some more videos from there, of course. And then you'll see the nice new place fully ready to be filming awesome content for you guys. So I'm looking so forward to that. Again, thank you Into the AM for sponsoring this video. Thank you guys for watching, and and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Take care. Bye, guys.